Hello, I am Daya Olujimo. Welcome to the State of the Nation on Aspheric TV, where we discuss, analyze, and tackle critical national issues. Well, you can interact with us via this number 08099998117. Call in and send us SMS messages via SMS or WhatsApp. We'll get to you. And also follow us on all our social media handles: Facebook at Aspheric, official Aspheric News, Instagram at aspheric.news, Twitter, oh sorry, it's been banned indefinitely. Well, right now we have a special guest. I will call him a special guest in the studio, Aspheric studio today. He's a legal practitioner and he is Barrister Williams-Wobodo Achinike. There's so many questions that needs answers. Yes, concerning the Constitution and the legislative laws in this nation and how it has affected us so far. And I really hope we get the answers that we need. Not the answer we want to hear, but the answers we need. Right now, we'll go on a quick break, and when we come back, we will dig into what we have for today. And we'll also give you, right now, the profile of our guest. Barrister Williams-Wobodo Achinike Godwin is the founder of Edward and William Law Firm and Back Chambers. He is an acclaimed attorney and law services consultant with bias in public-private partnership, investment, construction, infrastructure funding, investor profiling, structuring, concession, including aviation, taxation, maritime, sports and entertainment laws, compliance consultant, process and procedure, due diligence and corporate governance, advice on crime control and prevention, especially money laundering, anti-corruption and economic crimes, corruption and bribery, risk assessment analyst, legal and social engineering, and notary public. Welcome back. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us today on Aspheric TV.
Thank you very much.
How are you doing today, sir?
Fine.
So tell me, how has been your, should I say, how has it been as a legal practitioner so far?
Well, legal practice for me has been a very rewarding one. Most times when lawyers come out of law school, the challenge of a junior lawyer will face them. But if you understand where you want to go and set a target for yourself and pursue it vigorously, I think that nothing is too difficult to surmount. You achieve whatever is the target that you set for yourself.
Oh, that's so beautiful, sir. Well, one of the fundamental features of the Nigerian Constitution is the supremacy of the Constitution, right? And do you think the fundamental human rights, for example, freedom of speech, freedom of expression, is rightly followed and is rightly respected in Nigeria?
Well, this is a tough call. First and foremost, I must emphasize and re-emphasize that the constitution of a country is known as the ground norm, is the foundation upon which every other law stands, and it is supreme. Now, when you now talk about the issue of fundamental human rights, there are rights that are guaranteed by the Constitution. And there are also rights that are guaranteed by the United Nations. It's guaranteed by the African Charter of African People's Rights. But we must say that these laws are not absolute. They are not absolute. They are not absolute in the sense that for reasons of regulating the state, reasons of policing the state, the constitutional right may be curtailed, but it has to be curtailed within the definition of the Constitution. For instance, the Constitution provides for right to life, but you know that a judge can pass a sentence to take away someone's life.
Okay, yes.
And he will be executed.
Yeah.
The Constitution permits for freedom of movement, but a judge can proscribe that movement and order that someone be put in prison.
Yes.
So these are the exceptions to that absoluteness of the fundamental human right.
Okay.
But I think that it's a right that should be protected at all times. And I think that fundamental human right is also guaranteed in our Constitution.
What about peaceful protesters threatened with tear gas?
Well, the right to protest is also a right that is guaranteed by our laws. Honestly, it would be absurd for the police to want to disperse protesters who are protesting in a peaceful manner. But if the protest turns out to become violent, riotous, the police also has a duty to maintain law and order. In that case, they can do what is reasonable within the definition of law to disperse the people. And that may include the use of tear gas. But for the police to do that without provocation, without any apparent threat, that would be an abuse of power.
Okay. Well, is the democratic system of government in Nigeria retrogressing or progressing?
Well, I think that the democratic system of government in Nigeria is progressing.
Okay.
One thing that I want Nigerians to understand, and I think we must all understand that if we must make progress in our country, is that we have to understand that the over 2 or 3 decades that the military had ruled the system had done a lot of damage to our psychology. People still believe that the way a president can, or a governor, can assert his authority as president or governor is to act with some level of force, which the law does not donate to the president. I once told someone in 2015, or 2014 rather, when some people were calling for some actions that I felt were unconstitutional, saying, oh, the former president was not doing this, he was not doing that. And I said, listen, or even the president now, the president cannot be stronger than the Constitution. The president is the commander-in-chief of the armed forces. But for the president to make an order to say, shoot at anybody that has AK-47 with him, it has to be within the powers conferred on him on the Constitution. So the more our democracy continues to deepen, the more powerless, so to speak, the president becomes. In 1999, when the former president, when Olusegun Obasanjo was president, he was combining some elements of military dictatorship into the civilian rule. A lot of people did not find it offensive or did not see it as something different because we were just coming out of the military rule. But in a civilian rule, it can't happen that way. A president can wake up one morning and give an order to say, oh, go and raise down a community just like it was done in Odiden. Because if you do that, a lot of people will kick against it. So the more our democracy continues to deepen and get strengthened, the more those who lead in the democracy, the president, the governors, the more they become weaker.
Okay.
And that's when the institution, if their strength pave way, the institutions become stronger.
Okay.
So I think that democracy is getting stronger in Nigeria. The right of people to express their grievance is getting higher. People are daring. People who want to protest, they are daring, even when the government say don't protest. Because they understand that we're in a democracy, so they dare the government to come out. In the military, you won't dare that. You know, today we are complaining that the government is using tear gas to disperse them. Then it was not tear gas. Then it was live ammunition and all that. So I think that democracy is getting stronger.
Well, is there any constitutional law that backs up the ban of Twitter in Nigeria?
Well, I'm going to speak on this issue from the point of view of a Nigerian.
Okay.
And when I mean point of view of a Nigerian, I'm talking about point of view of a patriotic Nigerian.
Okay, sir.
Within our legal framework, the Constitution allows for freedom of speech, freedom of expression. And Twitter is one of such platforms that enables for freedom of speech. But like I said, if we look at the Constitution of Nigeria as well as the Constitution of every other country, one of the primary purposes of the Constitution is to safeguard the sovereignty of that nation. And the sovereignty of the nation could be threatened when the national security is in threat. National security may be in terms of physical security, it may be in terms of economic security, and all of those. Now, any government that is serious-minded, that observes that its national security is at stake, it's a liberty to take every reasonable step to ensure that law and order is maintained. Now, let me narrow it down to the Twitter. If you notice, within the period, a lot of people go on Twitter, they bully people. I don't even want to talk about people who are calling for violence. They bully people, they call for violence, instigating violence against a free state. Nigeria is a free state. And they are using a platform, social media platform, Twitter. It is the duty of the government, when the government feels that the use of that infrastructure is becoming a threat to its national security, to take an action. Some people say, oh, it was the decision was hasty. Some people say, oh, the decision was arbitrary. Some people say, oh, it was abuse of power. But if you measure it against the standard of what happened in the US, a sitting president of America, Donald Trump, called and asked people to go to Capitol Hill for protests. Twitter and the whole of America called that act as insurrection. Means an action to call for unlawful removal of a legitimately elected government. The same Twitter, when people who are non-state actors, the first one I gave you, a state actor. Yeah. So a state actor means that for some reason it's protected within some level of legal framework. Now, when someone who is not even a state actor, who you can classify within international law as, I don't want to use very harsh word, but a separate, someone who is trying to secede from the country, is making a call of violence against state, free state. We didn't see Twitter react. It means that they were trying to, or they have double rules, different rules for different states. Now, if you ask, some people have argued, so under what law did the president or the minister of information make the argument or the suspension that he made?
Yes.
The suspension that he made was made based on, that's to my thinking because they didn't give us the reason, can be sustained under national security. When the national security of a country is at stake, the government has a responsibility to ensure that the national security is protected. And if you also look at the Cyber Crimes Prevention and Protection Act of 2015, although it is not on all fours with what has played out, but that law, particularly Section 3 of it, provides that on the advice of the National Security Advisor, if the president is satisfied that any platform is becoming a threat to national security, it can be proscribed. So I think that, yes, the action may not have been timely. Yes, the action may have been in retaliation of the deletion of the president's tweet. But when you put it at par with national security, the government can take such action.
So you were saying something about cyber crimes, the level of cyber crimes. It's not just Twitter that has that. We have Facebook, we have Instagram. Yes. And you know, this ban has left so many people distressed. Yes, they use this in making money.
Yes.
Yeah. And this has opened a wide door to many youths in Nigeria to commit this great crime in using VPNs. Yes. And to now be changing their location. Many don't even know this platform before. Because VPN, sometimes you consider people using it as cyber crimers and all and all. But now most youths are using it just because they feel that their rights have been violated. Freedom of expression, freedom of speech. They can't even they can't tweet through Twitter anymore. They have to find a way. Now, I want to ask this question: has this ban done more danger or repair? Has this ban done more rights or wrong?
Well, you know, when you want to evaluate whether a decision or policy of government has done more right or wrong or has addressed the issue, you need to give that policy some time to run, or, well, a reasonable time for you to measure whether it is right or wrong. Now, let me address it from the first point of view, from the point of view of patriotism. Your government says, for the time being, we have temporarily suspended the use of a platform because it threatens our national security. Twitter, and I mean Twitter, says they're handling the issue. And within the same platform that we're talking about, they're providing solutions to circumvent the policy and decision of government. Saying use VPN. What it means is that the same platform is also daring to the government and say, we have the technology to undermine your system, to undermine the policy that you have made, and so we are going to encourage your citizens to also undermine the policy. Now, when we talk about whether the platform has assisted or is assisting Nigerians, you can't rule that out right now, because it's long been established that the world is now a global community.
Yes.
And for every platform that enables people to interact as if they were in the same room, it's would create some advantage to the people. So to that extent, the use of these social media platforms had created jobs for people, had created contacts for people, had created all those things. But for every economy, every state to be able to grow properly using the resources available to it, I'm talking about human resources, there should be regulation as to how external factors operate. If you have human resource, you have a lot of young persons here, they are your capital.
Yes.
And then somebody comes from outside to harness your capital. He takes your intellectual property arising from what the good of what the people can generate. He pays no tax to you. He pays no royalty to you. You understand? Then how do you expect that the government should provide the need for the people? It means that these Western platforms are there to incite the people against the government whilst using the resources illegally. Nigeria has over 200 million. We understand that over 30 million persons are subscribers on YouTube. They are tapping our resources. They pay no tax to us. They pay no royalties to us. They have no office here in Nigeria. So assuming the government says, okay, before we bring you back, we want you to come and establish office here. If you establish an office here and they bring expatriates to come and work, they will not bring expatriates as cleaners. They will not bring expatriates as clerks. Nigerians will be employed as clerks. Nigerians will be employed as cleaners. So you also create employment from the resources that you're taking from us. So you take our resources, you pay no taxes, you pay no royalties, and then you use your platform to promote civil unrest, civil disobedience. I think it's not acceptable. It shouldn't be encouraged by any citizen.
And you don't think the federal government is pushing youths to do what's wrong?
When you mean federal government is pushing you to do what's wrong, I'd like to understand the context in which you're saying that.
Relating to this VPN, sir. And, you know, many youths don't want to hear this. Many youths don't want to hear that. Many youths don't want to. I feel they are tired of... No, I shouldn't say I feel they are tired. Well, most youths, according to my research, are tired of so many things that are happening, insecurity, job unemployment, and they finally see what can help them out, and you are banning it, you are taking it out of the way. And we hear of something called VPN. There's an alternative. We can go through that way. We can go to that route to do whatsoever we've been doing before. Now, don't you think it's looking like the federal government is pushing the youth to do what is wrong? Like I said earlier, normally, VPN is not popular. It's not popular to so many youths, but now it's so popular. And before, according to my research, let me just put in the Nigerian term, Yahoo guys, that use that to engage in their cybercrime, changing their locations and all. So my question, sir, don't you think the federal government is pushing Nigerian youths to do what is wrong, in a way?
Okay, I'm going to address your question from 2 points of view. The first is to re-emphasize that using VPN as an alternative to bypass government policy is not an action coming from a push from the government. It is not. It is an offense to do that. It's an offense in America. It's an offense in UK. It's an offense anywhere that you go against government established laws. So no matter what you give as the excuse for committing a crime, it's a crime. Now, but if you come to the other part of the question, which is the issue of unemployment. Yes, there's unemployment in the land. There's insecurity in the land. I can sit here and confirm to you that there's insecurity in the land. I can sit here and tell you that as a Nigerian, I worry about where our country is heading to. I can sit down here to say all that. I can sit down here to say a lot of people are not working. And so there's threat. There's a threat. The threat arising from unemployment is huge. The threat arising from insecurity is huge. But to compound the threat, using a platform that brazenly encourages the threat, that brazenly promotes the threats, that brazenly gives the platform, is something that all of us should condemn. There's unemployment in America.
Yes.
There's unemployment in the United Kingdom.
Yes.
There's unemployment everywhere. There's also unemployment in Nigeria.
Yeah.
The question we should be asking as citizens, how is the government trying to address this unemployment? What is the government doing to address the unemployment? I'm not going to be speaking for the government. I'm not a government official. But if you ask me, I think that the government is placing things on ground that should be able to address the unemployment. It may never be adequate. It will never be adequate for one administration to exhaustively terminate unemployment. It's not going to be possible. But what citizens should be looking at is the commitment of that government to addressing these challenges. The government had said, they want to lift 100 million persons out of poverty within 10 years. Within 6 years that they've been in government, the question we should ask is how many have they been able to pull out of poverty? If they have done well within that, you can measure that, in 10 years, they will be able to pull out the people. The insecurity that we have across the nation, it started with Northeast, the Boko Haram in Northeast. And then at some point, people were comfortable that, it's happening in one particular location. Yes. But one thing we must understand with terrorist operation is that once they have a nucleus and you disperse them from the place, they will begin to move out into the mainstream of the country and begin to hit like a guerrilla warfare, attack here, attack there, and that. The people are supposed to come together and police the country. That is what I think that we should do. So I believe that citizens are agitated. Citizens are worried. Citizens are afraid. Genuine fears and all that. But I think that much more than that is that we need to do something to move the country forward.
Right now we'll go on a quick break, and when we come back, we will talk about the Constitution and the legislative laws in Nigeria and how it has affected us so far. Stay tuned.
815-555-5746.
Thank you so much.
Babe, what did you do to your home? Did you win the lottery or rob a bank?
Nah, I signed up for a life of ease with easeauction.com. an e-marketing, e-auctions, and e-vending platform, the first of its kind in Nigeria. On Ease Auctions, you can purchase electronics and household appliances from global brands in daily auctions at unbelievable discounts. You can resell them if you want on the platform and get cash back. If you're a merchant, coupon, or voucher vendor, they have great opportunities for you that offer a broader sales platform.
Really? How can we sign up?
That's easy. Log on to www.easeauction.com, register and fund your wallet. Bid, win, and buy at really low prices.
Wow! I just won an auction and the discount is awesome!
Sign up today. Call on 0815-555-5746 or 0909-777-7725. Email support@easeauction.com. Ease Auction. Life at ease.
Welcome back. Again, our guest is a legal practitioner, Barrister Williams-Wobodo Achinike, and so far we've been discussing about the constitution and legislative laws in Nigeria and how it has affected us so far. Sir, a famous cleric in Nigeria, Pastor Tunde Bakare, recently stated that the 1999 constitution is fraudulent and inconsistent, adding that it should be replaced by a new constitution put together by Nigerians, and it's not the first time this is coming. Yes, from a Nigerian, there are so many instances. Now, sir, is there a problem with the 1999 constitution?
You know, I thank you for the privilege of sitting here to speak. But one thing I've understood about my country and my countrymen and women is that sometimes we, depending on which divide that we are sitting on, we make statements, and then when you ask us to buttress the statements, we are unable to do so. I'm not going to talk about the gentleman who spoke about,
yes,
who made the statement.
Okay, sir.
But ordinarily, first question would be the constitution that we say is a fraud, that we need the constitution written by Nigerians. Was the previous one, the 1999 constitution, written by foreigners? The answer is no. Nigerians deliberated. Nigerians, lawyers were in the constitutional conference, lawyers were attorney generals to the military people. The Nigerians were in the constitutional conference that came up with the 1999 constitution. When people talk about the constitution, I don't think that majority of the problem is with the constitution. It is with the implementation of the constitution. Not too many Nigerians, including lawyers like myself, understand what it means to say that the constitution is supreme. What it means to say that the constitution is supreme. So they wake up and then they follow the bandwagon. They say this constitution is not good, this constitution is not good. I've listened lately to some people and some lawyers, and I think their own argument makes better sense to me, who are saying that most of the items on the exclusive list is the list of items that the National Assembly should make laws on, should be moved from the exclusive list to the concurrent list. Concurrent list is where the National Assembly and the states' houses of assembly can legislate. Now, I think that argument or that approach makes better sense. For instance, a state government decides to generate electricity.
Yes.
And then after generating the power, you now have issues distributing the power, because the issue of distribution falls within the exclusive list. So you stay in Akwa Ibom State, for instance, you generate power enough to provide electricity for everybody in your state. you want to distribute the light to the houses in your state, you now require approval of the federal government to distribute the power that you have generated with your own resources. And then when they eventually give you the authority and you put it on the national grid, the man who manages the national grid now feels that Rivers State, I'm just using that example,
Yes.
Rivers State needs more light than Akwa Ibom that has generated the light. So they send the light that Akwa Ibom generated to Rivers State. So those are the kind of things that we can say, pull out from the exclusive list and bring them to the concurrent list, so that the state government can say, I generate light. If you don't want me to put it on your national grid, I can run it on my separate grid and give light to everybody within my state. These are the things that we should be talking about. Not talking about changing constitution. The constitution that we have, how have we been able to implement it to the latter? You sit in court, for instance. You sit in court. The constitution says that if you have to interpret this constitution, it has to be in the spirit of and letter of the constitution. And you are interpreting the constitution, you use one word and say sui generis, and you use sui generis to exclude provisions of the constitution, and then you think there will be no problem. There will be problem. There will be problem. I'm not going to talk about decisions of courts that I think were not in the spirit of the supremacy of the Constitution. If we understood what it means to give a decision based on the supremacy of the Constitution, some of the decisions that we take that people quarrel about will not happen. Some of the decisions and actions that the executive take will not happen. Some of the actions that the legislatures query the executive about will not happen. So I think that there are some issues in the Constitution that need amendment. And when it is time to amend this Constitution, it should not be a jamboree by the members of National Assembly to amend how long they should stay in government, how long, if a candidate of a political party has forged certificate and you bring a matter before the court to challenge it, and they say because you brought it after 14 days, that matter has become statute barred. These are not things that should be joked about in the Constitution. So I think that the issue with our major problem is the implementation of the Constitution. And like most lawyers are saying, move away some of the critical issues from the exclusive list and take them to the concurrent list.
Okay, thank you so much for that, sir. It's been said that in the area of fiscal transfer, like fiscal
policy,
yes, the states in the current structure of the Constitution have been shortchanged, and there is a need for restructuring and also a well-thought fiscal transfer from federal to state and local government. Sir, what's your view on this?
Well, it's a welcome idea.
Okay.
It's a welcome idea to have the state generate their revenues and pay taxes or royalties to the federal government. It's a welcome idea. It's also a welcome idea to have the federal government control a certain percentage, maybe, of our natural resources. Excuse me, like the crude oil, the mine and all that. When we allow for this, it allows for competition, fair competition amongst the member states. For instance, those in the South, whose natural resources is the oil, the sea, they will be able to put it to better use and pay royalties to the federal government. In the north, where they have the solid minerals, gold, bitumen, and all the rest of them, they can also develop a structure where they harness these resources and then put it on the table. Now, but you have a situation where every crude oil, for instance, belongs to the federal government exclusively. Now you have situations where you have some states being granted license, individuals granted license for the solid mineral. People will feel agitated. People will feel that there is inequality in how the natural resource, in the dispensation of the right to the natural resources, and people will complain. But having said that, the next critical question is to ask is the little that we've been given. How have we been able to manage it? How have we been able to apply it for the betterment of our people? The money that the state government receive, how are they applying it? The money that the local government receive, how are they applying it? Can you testify to those sums? Are there things that if you go to the states and go to the local government, you'll be able to say this local government had received, in the past 10 years, has received 2 billion or 3 billion or 10 billion, as the case may be, and we can see evidence of that on ground. How are they using it? So, whilst we are agitating for resource control, for people to be able to take charge of their resources and pay royalty to state, citizens should also learn how to hold the leaders accountable. Leadership is not all about federal government. The state government, the local government, what are they doing with our resources? We should ask them questions. So I agree totally. I agree totally that states should be allowed to manage their resources and pay. The reasons are numerous why you must support that. Let me give you an example.
Okay.
In Lagos State, they collect VAT on alcohol. VAT is collected on alcohol, 7.5%. In some of the northern states, alcohol is prohibited.
Yes.
You generate the 7.5% from Lagos and you share it to the states where alcohol is prohibited. Common sense should say, or equity should say, that if you prohibit the sale of alcohol in your state, you should naturally forbid the resources from the sale of alcohol. So people will begin to feel that there's inequity in the way government is run if some of these things are not addressed.
Oh, thank you so much for that. This question I'm about to ask you, I've really waited for it, and your opinion now. This is it. The edict that amalgamated Nigeria into one country expired 2014. According to my research, nothing has been done about it. It has neither been renewed nor denounced. Some would say officially Nigeria no longer exists. So, what's your view on this? Is it that the edict never really mattered?
Sorry, I would want to ask, what did the edict say? You know, as I say all the time, most of the problems we have in Nigeria are caused by the prejudices that people infuse into us for reasons best known to them. Either for reasons of tribe, for reasons of religion, and all that. And so they come, they make assertions. If you say the edict that brought Nigeria, the Northern Protectorate and the Southern Protectorate together and made them into one Nigeria, has expired. What is the Constitution doing? The Constitution that Section 1 describes of we the people of Nigeria. We the people, the existence of the 1999 Constitution has sealed that edict Because the Constitution makes reference to we the people of Nigeria. And the people of Nigeria, by the Constitution, is known. The entity Nigeria is known. It includes what we know as the Northern Protectorate and the Southern Protectorate. And the Constitution has abolished that North and Southern Protectorate and has called it we the people of Nigeria. So what are they talking about? I don't understand. So, but they will tell you, somebody may go spend so much time writing one long story on this on social media and then circulate it, and then people will read it, you know, and half-heartedly they will begin to discuss it, and it becomes an issue. I don't think that's an issue anywhere. Nigeria is an entity that is bound by the Constitution of the 1999, which
and
is
not by the edict.
not by the edict. So the only day Nigeria separates is when we disintegrate the 1999 Constitution, not by an edict that has been long dispensed with.
I'm really happy with the fact that you've been able to address this particular issue. Well, before I draw the curtain for today, sir, I want to ask you this question. Is Nigeria better divided or united?
Well, Nigeria is better united. I don't want to go into the normal argument of divided we disintegrate and united we stand. No, just the mere volume of our human resource, the number of Nigerians we have on planet Earth is a good number for us to make progress.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you very much for having me.
Yes, thank you so much, sir, for this wonderful time you've given to us. Thank you so much for staying with us. If you were not able to reach us because of one reason or the other, sorry about that, but you can send your messages via SMS, WhatsApp, the number again, 080-9999-8117, or drop your comments, your questions on our YouTube page, on our YouTube channel, Aspheric TV. We'll get back to you on that. We'll reach out to the barrister and we'll get to you. Thank you so much. I remain Dayo Olujuwon. Thank you for joining us on Aspheric TV. Bye.
Thank you very much.